welcome. I'm Kritika Saxena and you're watching a CNBC TV18 special show, Infosys Change of Guard. Infosys enters a new era today with Capgemini's former Deputy CEO, Salil Parekh, taking over as the MD and CEO of the company. Parekh takes over at a time when Infosys is trying to strike a balance between growth and maintaining the cultural ethos of the company. The immediate challenges facing Parekh are the aftermath of the boardroom battle, which led to his predecessor, Vishal Sikka's exit, arresting attrition, especially in the top and mid-management levels, and scaling up the company's digital presence. In fact, in his first address as the MD and CEO of the tech major, Parekh focused on digitization and said that he was excited to lead the company on its path towards helping clients digitally reinvent themselves. So, will Parekh rise up to the occasion? What lies ahead for the IT bellwether? To discuss all this and more, we are now joined by Mohandas Pai, Chairman of Manipal Global Education and former CFO of Infosys, Ganesh Natarajan, the founder of 5F World and Chairman of the NASSCOM Foundation, Krish Lakshmikant, MD and CEO of Headhunters India, Karan Tarani, Vice President of Research at Dalat Capital, and Sudheen Apte, the CEO of Offshore Insights. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. My first question to Mr. Pai, Mohan, what do you think stands out as far as Salil Parekh is concerned? What does Salil have that Vishal Sikka didn't?
Well, Salil comes from the industry. He understands the industry. He has helped Capgemini grow in the offshore model very well. He has worked in global positions. He has talked to global clients. So he's an insider. He knows how to respect people, how to treat people well, because in a software service company, you have truly extraordinary people who know their business, who know innovation, who know what to do. And you have to make sure as a leader, you talk to them and enthuse them and lead them, right? And you cannot be a cowboy who goes on riding roughshod over people's sentiments, because this is a services business. He understands all that, so he'll bring stability, he'll bring customer focus, and he'll bring the right kind of, let us say, support that is required for the company to do well. Infy is a fabulous company. It has very good people. They've been selling very well. They've been innovating all through for the last 20 years. They know their business. They're close to customers. They know digitization. I keep hearing some very silly comments from analysts who say that, oh, they have to digitize, they have to do everything. Let me tell you that Infy is in close touch with more than about maybe 800 customers. They know digitization. They know what customers want, except when a new thing starts, all the companies who the clients go to smaller companies because they want to test them out. Now, the analyst report in the US say that the big SIs and big companies are getting work on digitization, which all these companies knew. Training the workforce is not very difficult. That's what they do all the time. So I think Salil will bring the right kind of stability and enthusiasm required to tackle the market, and I think he'll do well. That's why I'm very, very confident and very happy. I mean, Vishal was abrasive. He was very arrogant, big ego, pumped up ego. He tried to spin a story that AI, ML is all there. Let me also tell you one thing. There is $10 trillion of installed software in the world. $10 trillion, okay? 10 trillion is not going to disappear any day. AI is a slow process, and AI building blocks are available. Companies know what to do.
But Mohan, what you are saying is that, you know, as far as Vishal Sikka's knowledge and domain expertise is concerned, that was all there. It was the attitude, it was the cultural ethos that essentially didn't fit. Let me go to Ganesh Natarajan then. Ganesh, you've known Salil for over 20 years. As a person and as a professional, what makes him the right fit for Infy's cultural ethos?
You know, I think Salil is a great integrator in the sense that he is a person who can make anybody feel at ease, and is a very good person to converse with and have a discussion on any topic with. I would say he's a very self-effacing. At the same time, he has a point of view. He's willing to discuss. He's willing to really come up with a consensus. To my mind, everything that Infosys needs at this point of time.
Do you agree with that point, Mohan, that the kind of integration that Salil had brought on at Capgemini, the kind of clarity with respect to acquisitions that had come in Capgemini, is that something that Infy will need? A quick question to Mohan first.
Yes, of course. I mean, I think what Ganesh has said is very right. The leadership in a software service companies need these characteristics, and Salil has got it in plenty. I mean, he's right for the job.
Okay, let me go across to Krish Lakshmikant then. Krish, you've seen Infosys through several such transitions. It's been about 3 major transitions over the last 4 years, ever since Vishal Sikka came in. do you believe that attrition is going to be one of the biggest challenges that Salil will have? And you have also interacted with Salil. Do you think he has what it takes to be able to handle the kind of attrition that you could see, especially in the top level?
Hey, see, Salil is a perfect gentleman. He can get along with people, and that is very important with Infosys today, because it is not only with the people working in Infosys, but with also the board members in Infosys and the founders. That is one area where Vishal failed to succeed. And today, if we want to succeed in Infosys, the board is extremely important. The founders are extremely important. And I know for a fact that Salil can do it. But the issue which will come before him, and which is being faced by Nimatswala in Wipro and others, is basically one of growth. The kind of growth which all these companies had in the past is going to be very difficult to duplicate. This is the reason why Vishal finally had to leave, because after 3 years, the last 2 quarters of his reign, nothing much happened in the marketplace. Growth was not there. So ultimately, what people look at will be what are you going to bring to the table. See, as I see it, Praveen Rao and Salil, both of them are more or less the same. Praveen is a very good operations person, is a very good people person, and so is Salil. So what is Salil bringing in extra? Is he bringing in more customers? Because today the need for Infosys or for any other company is customers. I don't know the answer. I don't have the answer for that.
Let me ask that question to Sudhin then. Sudhin, if you pit Salil Parekh and Praveen Rao, what Chris was saying is that they are very similar and complementing in nature. What do you think that Salil brings to the table that Praveen Rao already doesn't have as a CEO?
Okay, first let me wish Salil all the best for his new tenure. Not only he and Infosys need to be successful, but success of Infosys also reflects on success of industry. So through your channel, I wish Salil all the best for his new assignment. I just want to make one sentence before I answer your question on complementary sort of a nature of Praveen and Salil. I think it's a waste of time and a fairly unwarranted conversation to compare between Vishal and Salil at this point in time. We have moved on, so let's move on. I think there are two things which are a little different in profile of Salil and Praveen, and I don't know really, that also is a little bit of unwarranted comparison. I think Salil brings in some client angle, especially financial services part. B, he brings in a little multicultural aspect, which is very important as companies get global. So those are the two broader areas. Third, most Infosys insiders know that Praveen's tenure is counted. He had declared earlier also retirement. So I think, Salil is a long term. So I think from my perspective, though the appointment today is for 5 years, Salil would be a long term leadership compared to what Praveen, planned to continue at Infosys. However, I think the key really is not about individuals. Key really is about, bringing back the growth which currently Infosys is below industry average, bringing back margins, which was, one of the top in the industry that Infosys used to earn. I think bringing back client confidence, keeping the flock together. I think these are some of the more important issues from company perspective. Clients don't sign up $100 million and $1 billion deal based on who is CEO.
No, absolutely. So the 3 points that you raised, Sudhin, were critical: margins, growth, and client confidence. Let me throw the question across to Sanchit Veer-Gogai from Greyhound Research. Sanchit, to your mind, what are the immediate challenges? Is it going to be tackling growth, maintaining client confidence, or increasing aggressive investment into digital and sales leadership?
I think it's all of that and a lot more. So I'll sort of,
but if you have to prioritize the first few.
Right.
Okay, so I have actually 5 key points I'm going to share with you. Sure. I think first and foremost, Salil's key responsibility has to be managing stakeholder sentiment actually almost overnight. If you come to think about it, last 12 months, the public debacle has impacted and costed the company so dearly that, Salil almost overnight has to ensure that all stakeholders are taken care of, their sentiments are taken care of. we did a research by which we estimate that almost 25 to 30% of the Indian workforce in IT services sector is going to be made redundant in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, in the light of that, it's critical that, Salil comes in, paints a picture to internal employees, to customers and other investors to ensure that the sentiment is upbeat, and that's going to be a very critical juncture for him. The second key point is that, look, after Vishal came in, Vishal came in with a lot of strengths, with some great inputs from his time at SAP. He was the father for HANA in SAP as well. So, the idea was that, those customers who bought into Infosys strategy of MANA, those customers who bought into the Infosys strategy of EdgeWork need to hear more as to how will Salil further the existing strategy and actually not overwrite it. And that's going to be a very critical point for a lot of customers. The third key point is that, look, ensuring street performance. Back in time when Vishal came in, I think he was a little over bullish. He painted the picture of $20 billion, which the street couldn't consume, and it did hit their share prices quite a bit. So I think the point and margin that my peers raised earlier as well is very right. I think Salil has to ensure that the expectation he sets on the street are more realistic and
moderate.
The fourth key.
Moderate expectations is what stands out from an investor point of view.
That's right. And the fourth key point is, look, the Infosys has had a perennial challenge of lack of mid-management, and I think that layer has to be really bought in now. Because under Vishal as well, look, Vishal bought in people from SAP, and now they're being fired or being let go on their own. So the mid-management is still missing, and that still will continue to hurt the company long-term as well. The fifth point, and the last point, is that, look, Salil has to sort of further what Vishal started, which is morphing of the organizational culture. The only difference being that, Vishal was very aggressive. He came from the very American culture of do it now, do it tomorrow. But I think that's not going to work with Infosys. And that's the slight game that Salil has to play to ensure that he does morph the organizational culture, but, organically over time, over a few years. So those are, I think, 5 key things that Salil has in front of him almost immediately.
Okay, Sanjay, some very important points that you raised, but I'm going to take Karan up on the point of brand Infosys. Karan, do you believe for the investors, has brand Infosys taken some kind of a beating after the whole public spat between the founders and management? And from an investor perspective, what will stand out? Are we hoping for some clear-cut clarity with respect to targets, with respect to growth, or simple expectations as far as correction is concerned in the near term?
I think brand Infosys has taken a beating as far as the investors are concerned, because if you see historically, Infosys has had this habit of, giving a guidance and then outperforming the guidance. But if you see in the near recent past, things have really worked the opposite side for Infosys. So they've given guidance which is very aggressive, and they've really fallen well short of that. So I think you have to rebuild, that confidence in the investors by giving a more moderate and a guidance, which is something which can be achieved upon. Secondly, a lot of importance here has to be done on the brand building for Infosys overall, which will lead to morale upliftment for the clients and for the employees. So these are some major changes which need to be done ASAP right now for Infosys, and that can really change things. But our view again here is that there is always a transition time. So when Vishal Sikka came in, there was a transition time of 4 to 5 quarters when the growth came back on track. Again, a very interesting point, if you see, when Vishal Sikka came in, the times were different. IT industry was growing in double digit. Today, the times are very different. IT industry not growing more than 67%.
How long will you give, Salil,
in fact, it is even more challenging.
To see the growth back on track, how long will you give?
There is no such proof. I think that's a very tough question. I mean, you cannot really quantify as to how much time, because he's not even laid out the initial strategy and how exactly he's going to go about the entire thing. But I think 3 to 4 quarters would be a fair time to give, to change things. But again, here the problem here is, if you see as compared to when Vishal Sikka joined as compared to today, the growth is really tapered down, and there is no significant proof of this being bottomed out even now. So as people have told even right now in the interviews, 60% of the workforce are going to be laid off. You are moving towards more of automation and digital services. So nobody exactly knows how much of growth is going to happen in the next 2-3 years, and when will this entire thing bottom out, and when will you actually see IT services growing in a big way in terms of returning to the mid-teen double-digit growth.
Okay, we'll have to ask our panelists to hold on. We have to take a very quick commercial break, but don't go anywhere. Our Power Pack panel is right here. We'll continue our discussion when we return.